I.F.O. by Conway Fitzgerald. Chapter 1. An Amber Alert was broadcast in the late afternoon over Albuquerque, New Mexico. A public call to action to keep a lookout for an abducted child. According to her grandparents, a young girl named Jessica Samuels had been taken from the backyard of her Copper Ridge home in a dark van. The girl's grandparents were her legal guardians, as both of Jessica's parents had been deemed missing persons for several years prior. There wasn't much more information for the police to go on, other than the girl's grandparents' odd hunch that they believed Jessica had been abducted by their son, Jessica's missing father, whom they had not seen in several years. Checkpoints had been established on the highways throughout the Albuquerque rush hour. As the sun set on the parched desert floor, there were no signs of the girl's abductors. So many dark vans were stopped, searched, and questioned, but no missing girl was found inside. Then, at 7:26 p.m., New Mexico State Trooper Alex Villalobos heard a call come from dispatch on his radio. Trooper Villalobos realized he was likely the closest to that location. That turnoff was a service road that led to an abandoned quarry about 6 miles from his location.
Copy that, dispatch. 8-2 responding.
The dusk light of the big sky above had now succumbed to darkness as the trooper's Crown Vic accelerated down the nearly barren highway. His lights flashed and sirens blared as he made best speed to the service road. As he made the turnoff and followed Route 337, all Trooper Villalobos could see was the single dotted divider of the road. Those yellow passing lanes were enveloped rapidly, illuminating the road with the blue and red flashes of his squad car as it raced towards the reported crime scene. Trooper Villalobos flew over a small incline. On the other side of the hill, he noticed brake lights ahead in the valley. He radioed dispatch that he believed he had located the vehicle in question. His car rumbled as it left the paved road and traversed the barren desert towards the stopped vehicle. When he reached the van, which fit the description, he noticed the driver's door and the rear sliding doors were open. He pulled his Smith & Wesson .357 and opened the door to his cruiser, using it as a shield before him.
State police, release the girl and put your hands in the air.
He didn't see a girl or any other people in the car, but he noticed the car was still running. The lights were still on.
Come out of the car slowly, with your hands raised.
He made several cautious steps towards the vehicle. He looked from one side to the other as his radio called to him again.
Stand by, Trooper. Backup units are on the way.
Villalobos could see the lights and hear the sirens coming, but there was no one in or around the abandoned vehicle. He then heard a strange sound emanating above him. He later debriefed that he and the other two vehicles shook and were lifted off of the ground momentarily, while a powerful hum intensified above him. He claimed his feet were no longer on the ground. Trooper Villalobos then looked skyward and witnessed the unexplainable, a large cylindrical object which then vanished instantaneously into the vastness of the star-filled sky. He and the two vehicles then returned gently to the ground. During the fall of 2003, there were many public UFO sightings reported in and around Albuquerque, New Mexico, which had created a media frenzy. Even CNN had sent down a crew to interview some of the alleged eyewitnesses. Though more of a novelty report for the major networks, this was big news for local KANM Action 8 TV. For reporter Cindy Tirnauer, it now appeared to represent yet another missed opportunity to get a national story, and perhaps a way out of this tiny dead-end Southwest local TV market. Another spotlight for her big break that led her to the same place. Nowhere. They had scaly, greenish-blue skin, horns on their brow, and big black eyes that could just look right through you, said the elderly man. His eyes opened wide while he spoke, as though he was reliving the experience while speaking. Were you frightened? Cindy asked. Her less than firm grip of the microphone was then extended flippantly towards the old man, who claimed to have been abducted by space aliens.
I was at first, but once they had me on board their craft, they made me feel right at home.
Did they speak to you in English?
No, they have no use for words. They use telepathy. So I heard their voices in my mind.
Damn it, Arthur! Would you stop lying to the young lady? You know nothing like that happened.
Belted a voice from inside the house.
Shut up, I.F.O. I believe she asked me the question.
If you hadn't drank so much all the time, you wouldn't be seeing these green men. He's always talking crazy when he's drunk.
The old man's wife approached to steal his spotlight, which soon after turned into an all-out domestic disturbance. Lars stopped the camera, lowered it from his shoulder, scrunching his lips and brow as if he had just bit into a lemon. Cindy buried her face in her hands, before looking back to Lars for a cue. He extended his palms and shrugged his shoulders.
Let's just do the location shot, wrap it, and go,
she said, stubbornly. This was the third location they had visited, and seemed to be the most promising. However, the video evidence they were promised had since been misplaced, or taken away, by the same aliens who dropped by from the Epsilon galaxy for a beer. Cindy stepped away from the house towards the yard until she reached a place where the elderly couple's argument was only partially audible. Lars turned the camera back on to her.
3, 2, 1. Do these alien beings want to be discovered? What, if any, message would people of another world have for us here on Earth? These questions will have to remain unanswered for another day. Until then, this is Cindy Tirnauer, reporting live from Los Padillas, Action 8 News.
Wait, I haven't shown you their sign language,
said the old man as the Action 8 crew made a dash for the van. The anxious old man made clicking noises and extended his arms and hands like they were lobster claws. Cindy and Lars left without another word, with a plume of dust in their wake.
If we head for Rio Rancho now, we can still interview number 4, who says he does have photos,
said Cindy, as she fumbled the map in her haste to find the street.
No way, Sin. I told you we were much better off covering the river pollution issue. We'd have no problem filming that. But look, it's already too dark. We wasted the day on this.
Lars, CNN is here. Doesn't that mean anything to you? If we can get something they can use, we're national.
If. Therein lies the problem. There is nothing to report, so why would they bother to take our nothing? They're just here to show how stupid we are for believing in this crap. We've got 2 airports, plus White Sands missile range within 100 miles of us. I guarantee you, these sightings are of some new robotic aircraft. It's gotta be man-made. I'm telling you.
Oh, Lars, on behalf of all Trekkies everywhere, I am ashamed of you,
she quipped. Lars was not amused.
Oh, shit. Now look,
said Lars as the van turned onto the freeway, which was bumper to bumper with cars.
We're about to be stuck in rush hour traffic.
Cindy glanced at her watch.
Yeah, well, it's almost 5. How about this? Can we just go back to the station, deliver our report to Wally, then go check out the photos up in Rio Rancho?
No.
Come on, Lars. It might be good.
No,
he said firmly, as if learned from years of similar experiences.
Aw, screw you, asshole,
he said to the car behind, who would not let him in. He smiled at the driver as he extended his middle finger proudly.
Tell you what, I have to be at the Oasis by 8. If you can drop me off there afterward, I'll buy you a couple of drinks.
If you want me to take you all the way down to Los Chavez, I better get more than a couple.
Deal. And if you get tipsy, you can stay at my place.
Lars looked over rather stunned.
On the couch, I mean.
Later, after Cindy's other wild goose chase had come up empty, the two drove 20 miles south to her other job at the Oasis in the small town of Los Chavez, where she worked nights as a bartender. The meager pay of the TV reporter day job was not quite enough to pay for the rising costs of her two children, aged 6 and 4. She was a single mother and sole earner, whose ex-husband disappeared after years of a rocky relationship and escalating debts. Immediately upon her arrival, she hustled behind the bar, which had already been abandoned by the previous shift. Several anxious drinkers demanded immediate service. She obliged them and then hooked up Lars with the beer he was promised. A couple of hours later, when the 10 o'clock news came on, she and Lars got to watch their report airing on Channel 8. Old Man Willoughby's stoic account of his extraterrestrial kidnappers got a big laugh out of the barflies. Everyone seemed very amused, with the exception of Lars, who was not laughing. He seemed tired, dejected, and ready to give up. 4 years at NYU Film School was supposed to have prepared him for a career in movies. Instead, he returned home to New Mexico with insurmountable student loans after 3 fruitless years of internship in Hollywood. At the suggestion of his mother, he returned home to Albuquerque. When a cameraman position opened at KANM, he figured it would be a good temporary job until things turned around. That was 7 years ago. Now, he was a 31-year-old bachelor who still lived at home with the parents, stuck in a dead-end job. His belly full of beer was his only solace. Perhaps Cindy would finally break down and give up on her no relationships at work motto. Or perhaps he would quit KANM and work for their rivals, KCOR. Whatever it might take, he thought, for it was in this intoxicated malaise that Lars realized he was in love with her. Cindy channel changed over to KCOR to check on the competition, where exclusive footage was being aired. The footage was of a cylindrical disc that appeared to vanish into the upper atmosphere. It was very provocative viewing, even if it was fake. It was controversial enough to prompt a report airing on CNN by Dahlia Robinson, the bleach blonde reporter for KCOR, who Cindy despised.
Why does God hate me?
Said Cindy.
Where did this footage come from?
They probably made that on their computer,
said one bar patron.
My 8-year-old son can create stuff like that in the Photoshop program. No problem.
Looks real to me, said another.
Thanks a lot, Mel,
said Cindy, whose contempt for Dahlia Robinson had no bounds.
You're supposed to say it looks fake, and that Dahlia Robinson is ugly and looks so fat that she's gonna burst out of that suit.
Oh, right. Sorry. Why do you dislike her so much? Asked another patron at the end of the bar. He was a short, balding man in glasses, a local who came to the bar from time to time. Cindy was surprised by the question and took a moment to garner her thoughts.
I'm jealous of her, I guess. She always scoops me. She always seems to get there first. I don't see why I can't get a break once in a while, you know? You would think. One of these times. But no, look, now she's on CNN. She's headed for the London bureau of NBC News. She's the next member of 60 Minutes. Me? I'm a bartender at Club Oasis.
Cindy's anger turned to sadness. She tried to hide her tears.
I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
The man nodded his head as he finished his drink. Cindy offered another, but he declined.
What would you do if you did get this big scoop? Why is it so important to you?
He asked, once again surprising her with his simple profundity. She sniffled back her emotions and answered honestly, from the heart, with no pretense.
I'd just like to have a better life for my kids. They're good kids, you know? They deserve better.
Her voice cracked as her thought of them brought out even more of her inner feelings. Lars was surprised to see this side of the tough-as-nails girl he so admired. Well, I can certainly relate to that, said the man, smiling as he walked towards the exit. Well, you know what they say. Careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
Oh, is that what they say?
She answered dismissively, with her eyes still on Dahlia. Good night.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Good night. Thank you.
She said, a little embarrassed by her episode, which it appeared was now driving out the patrons.
God, I'm such a drama queen.
You okay?
Asked Lars. Cindy nodded as she wiped down the bar. After a deep breath, she had an epiphany.
Yes. You know something? It really doesn't matter. I feel much better.
She recaptured her smile as the redness and fluid withdrew from her face.
I should just be thankful for what I have. Screw being jealous of Dahlia. Gosh, I'm such a jerk sometimes. We'll get ours, right, Lars?
Lars looked back with a half smile before confessing what he really thought.
Yeah, you'll get it. As for me, I'm done.
You don't want another drink? Wow, you're a real lightweight tonight.
No, I mean, I'm done. I can't do this shit anymore. It's making me crazy. I'm quitting K&M tomorrow.
What?
Cindy could see that Lars was serious.
No, Lars, you can't. We're a team. I need you.
She grasped his hands with both of hers.
You need me?
He asked in disbelief. His true meaning was obscured by the implication of their professional relationship.
Well, yes, Lars,
she answered awkwardly.
I mean, we work so well together.
Lars got up.
Lars, come on. I'm sorry about today. Please, don't quit.
Lars was even more determined to leave quickly now that Cindy hadn't taken the opportunity to acknowledge his desire. His desperate need to truly be needed. His furrowed brow and half-hearted smile headed for the door.
I'll call you tomorrow. We'll do the thing at the waste dump site by the river.
As Lars left, without another word, one of the few remaining patrons felt he was being neglected.
Miss TV lady, can I get another bourbon, please?
Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you never miss an episode. Be sure to smash that like button and comment below. It helps a lot. If you'd like to help me get this book published, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter. And as always, be sure to share this story with all of your friends on your favorite social media.